Marshmallow Fanboy back with another review, this time of the Nemesis wave of Marvel Legends figures, the X-Men themed wave. First, I want to go over Wolverine. Wolverine's the only one with no Build-A-Figure part. He's in his X-Treme X-Men uniform, but I know this better as the kind of the Ultimate Universe uniform. It looks more like the Ultimate Universe. I wish I'd looked at a picture of it. It either looks just like that or looks very similar. Either way, I'd love an Ultimate Universe version of Wolverine, but this will do. Has the thing of how to build Nemesis on the back. Has that stuff, the little picture of him. It has a nicer picture on the side. I don't think they don't make a picture when you line them up, but it's still very cool to have that. And of course, another little picture. I like the artwork. They're like, you know what? We're going to do 3 separate pieces of artwork for this. And I say, yay. So that is a X-Treme X-Men Wolverine. Of course, claws deployed. The fists with no claws, a pointer hand, and a gesturing hand there. And he's screaming at somebody. It would have been cool. I would just love an Ultimate version. I know they're coming out with an Ultimate Iron Man later. We got an Ultimate Captain America, I think, a year or so ago. I'd love it if they covered the X-Men, the Ultimate uniforms for the X-Men. But there's also these 3 X-Men, Cyclops, Gambit, and Nightcrawler, all from very specific periods. Cyclops is from the X-Factor period. Right now, Jean Grey is on order at Target. She's already sold out. I don't know if they'll re-release the figure when it comes out. What I mean by that is after it comes out and is released to stores, I don't know if they'll make more available for order or you'll have to take your chances and go to the store. She's really cool. But this is the X-Factor version of Cyclops. I don't know if you can see it right through there. Looks a little sloppy on that X. Looks like the paint isn't as sharp. But it's got a great alternate visor where he's yelling. Of course, he's got the regular visor. It looks like this visor is a little bit deeper. Like the eye isn't red, so that you can plug in the optic blast. And I don't know what the sort of the pop is. Of course, that's Cyclops from X-Factor. Very cool. It's another Cyclops. And there it is. And that one. Is that one just... No, oh yeah. This one is the same as this one. Let me see if that's true on Wolverine's also. Is this one and this one. There's two separate pieces of art. That is different from that. And that is different. Wait. Am I getting that right? Yes. There's 3 separate pieces of art. So we got 2 pieces of art for Cyclops. That is the same as that. Right? Right. So that is Cyclops. Comes with a part or a piece of Nemesis. Gambit, of course, from the Age of Apocalypse. They had an Age of Apocalypse series a few years ago, and it was pretty well received. It sold out. You couldn't find a lot of it at retail, so it was nice. It was a good series if you're into Age of Apocalypse, and I'm not, but it is nice to add Gambit. Gambit was very popular, and there's a Rogue and no Gambit. So it is nice. He has the staff, of course. And the costume is really cool. He's got artwork. He's got this. Let's see if I can... 3, 2, 1. He's got this piece of art. Looking contemplative. He's got this one just kicking butt. Look at him kicking butt. And this one sort of just looking. This one's cool, but is that two Jubilees in the picture? It's weird. I'm not familiar with Age of Apocalypse at all. I kind of, at that point in my X-Men journey, I had stopped reading it. Because, I didn't want to do Age of Apocalypse. And a lot of you are going, what? That was the best storyline ever. Nightcrawler is from the X-Force. And right now they have a Warpath and an X-23 in the gray and the black. And over the years we've gotten a Wolverine in those colors. We got Deathlock in those colors. I'm not sure what else we got in those colors. But there's a lot of people who have served on X-Force, rather. I think we got a gray and black Deadpool. If we didn't, we got every other kind of Deadpool. So it'd be weird if we didn't. That looks like 3 separate pieces of artwork for Nightcrawler. Let's see. No. The side panel expression is the same as that expression. So far, only Wolverine gets 3 new pieces of artwork. Marvel's Husk is very cool. Marvel's Husk, of course, is Samuel Guthrie's sister from New Mutants. She was on Generation X. We got a Monet, I think, last year. And we got a what is Jono's? Chamber. We got a Chamber figure maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So they're slowly building out Generation X, I feel like. But of course, Husk has gone on to other things, and as well as all the other Gen X kids. But a very cool portrait there of her tearing off the face. Oh, and there's the same one of the tearing off the face. And there's, all 3 of them. They didn't waste they have the one picture, and they're like, we're going to use all 3. Then 1 piece of artwork for Husk. I guess they're like, nobody knows who Husk is. We're just going to use this 1 piece. This is very cool with the half metal, half regular face. The skin kind of off there. That's kind of fun. I don't know if I'll be able to pose that, but I don't know what the tentacles are. Oh, they go to Nemesis, I think. She's number 5. 5 is the torso, but also there it looks like there's tubes on the back. So Husk comes with quite a bit. She's doing a lot of heavy lifting for this wave. Fabian Cortez, I think, was during the Whilce Portacio run, or could have been closer to Jim Lee's run. When Jim Lee tackled the X-Men, he wanted to go back through sort of a greatest hits of the X-Men, like Magneto and things like that. And I think we got Fabian Cortez on Asteroid M because it was sort of a thing where, like, well, if Magneto's here, where has he been? And they're like, well, he's been on Asteroid, kind of cruising around, creating kind of a mutant paradise. And Fabian was one of the guys who was one of his acolytes, and eventually will betray him, but for now he's, just against X-Men. He's for mutant superiority, and he has this portrait, which is equal to that portrait, which is that portrait but mirror imaged? Yeah. So he's facing down left here, down right here. Let's see if you can see that. He's facing down right. I give him a little bit of a turn. He's down left. So they just mirror imaged him. And you only get 1 piece of artwork for Fabian Cortez, which is probably more than he deserves. He's a jerk. Just kidding. Just wanted to throw that in there. Marrow is a very cool figure. I didn't expect Marrow to come out. I'd forgotten kind of that she existed. For a while, Marrow was one of those anchor characters that was on the cover to everything. She was on the team. She played a really big role in things, and then she just sort of vanished. And I'm not sure what happened to her character-wise, but it is nice to see her in figure form. If for any other reason every once in a while they release a character where I think, oh my gosh, that character was cool. I forgot all about that character. And this is Marrow. Of course, she has this portrait here, which matches this portrait here, which matches this portrait here. So the final three figures that, you know, don't have a huge footprint as far as, you know, popularity, all have one image. Even if they mirror imaged Fabian's picture. And I see you, Marvel. I see you. You can't fool me. See, it's in her left, it's in her left, it's in her left. Okay, yeah. It's the same portrait all the way around. But it is a really cool figure. It is it looks really accurate. And it's a really nice surprise. Marrow's addition to the Marvel Legends is a really nice surprise. It would have been if they had added more acolytes than just Fabian Cortez. That would have been cool. But if you're just getting Fabian Cortez, there's a little part of you that is thinking, well, I'm never going to see another Acolyte again. And as far as Generation X, they couldn't be putting this together slow enough. They're just like, we're going to put this together super slow. For the X-Force colors, you know, we get that, you know, you can't give us everything all at once because technically they're all repaints and people scream and yell about repaints, and I get that. But I also understand that a lot of people are looking to stack their X-Force shelf. And an Acolyte, not an Acolyte, an Age of Apocalypse Gambit is fantastic, but it's been too long since we've seen an Age of Apocalypse figure, so we sort of need more. As far as Cyclops goes, now that we have a Jean Grey and a Cyclops figure from X Factor, we kind of need the rest of the team, and they just came out with an Archangel, but a year or so ago they came out with an Angel that was, I thought, maybe that was X Factor? I actually can't remember, but if it didn't have the X on it, that seems like low-hanging fruit. And you could do a deluxe sort of Mutant Massacre Archangel where the wings are replaceable with the damaged wings from the Marauders when they had him sort of pinned up in the thing and they sort of mutilated his wings and they, you know, eventually he became he eventually became Archangel. But you could do that evolution. You could do here's Angel from X Factor with the wings intact and the wings swappable wings, so you could put the damaged wings on. And here he is in the kind of transition from Angel to Archangel, and then here's Archangel. They had a really cool Archangel figure. I don't know if that Archangel figure was X-Force Archangel. I don't know. It was black and gray. Was it black and gray? It seemed like there was an Archangel that I bought years ago that was Marvel Legends. And so they wouldn't come out with the same Archangel. So I think the last Archangel they put out was the black and gray. So maybe we've gotten 4 of those figures, the black and gray figures. So I don't know how I sprung right back to Nightcrawler, but that's that. For Wolverine, I get that he's popular and that he's had a lot of costumes. I don't object to it. You should have a Wolverine out on the stands every year because he's super popular. I don't condone that. I don't condemn that. I don't think that that's not a good idea. I think it's a great idea. I just think that I would like Ultimate Wolverine. That would be cool, along with Ultimate Cyclops and Ultimate Jean Grey and all the others. Also, we're missing a Colossus with X-Force colors, so we need to get on that. So I guess whenever you think about like the X-Men and you think about a wave of X-Men figures, there's always kind of what is your wish list? And you usually have something in mind for it. In my mind, I've got a couple of Ultimate figures, and I would love to stack out that Ultimate shelf just a little bit better. Amazon came out with a 5-pack with a small Spider-Man, small in stature, in the black suit, and I don't know if he was ever in the black suit in the comic books, or in the Ultimate Universe. I'm just not positive. So there's just some stuff where I would love to see more Ultimate Universe stuff, and I'd also like to see all the New Mutants in their yellow and black outfits from the very beginning. You know, they're doing some really interesting things with Doug Ramsey, and hopefully they'll do an action figure of his character. Oh gosh, it starts with an R. It's like Revolution, or it's like an evolutionary sort of term. Like, it's not Revolution. I can't remember what it is, but he just took a throne, and Apocalypse has sort of named him as a successor. It's a cool story. I can't remember for the life of me what it was, but that's neither here nor there. Maybe at the bottom of this, the name will pop up. But that is the 7 figures that make up the Nemesis wave. They look great in the package. The package looks great. Let's bust them out and see what we think of them in person. Now that they're out of the package, let's take a closer look at the Nemesis Build-A-Figure wave. First, I'm not going to go over a lot of the articulation. I'm just going to show you some of the cool stuff that I see, and maybe some nitpicks. So, let's start with Wolverine. Wolverine is pretty standard. At this point, if you have 2 or 3, you pretty much have all of them. He comes with two more fists with the ports that are empty. One gesturing hand, kind of a pointer hand, and one sort of gesturing hand. So 4 hands total. Got the same articulation scheme the last couple of Wolverines have had. It's got the ab crunch, this cool belt. I don't know. That's a really cool belt. I like that the X-Treme X-Men logo is here, but it's also the logo on the X-Force. If you are trying to sort of match like characters, and you kind of don't care that this isn't Wolverine and X-Force colors, and you have this one and you have that one, you can sort of put them together and imagine them on a team together because they both are sporting this X logo. And that is Wolverine. I don't have anything much to say except that I do like the different heads for them, because the unmasked heads, at least, you can swap out. But it's too bad we didn't get a masked X-Treme X-Men Wolverine head, assuming that he had a mask in the X-Treme X-Men. For all I know, he never had a mask in X-Treme X-Men. Fabian Cortez has this cool gear on top. Doesn't seem to impede his articulation much, but the cape attaches to it. So I think that, no, there's no pin on the inside. To take this off, you'd probably have to take his head off, and the whole thing would kind of lift off. Or you feed the ponytail back through this and maybe get it off that way. For the extra hands, he has 2 sort of gesturing hands. And yeah, sort of a holding hand and a gesturing hand. I left the 2 fists on him, so they're here. The thing that I like about these fire effects, and we get these fire effects all the time, and if it's Silver Surfer, sometimes they're, purple, or somebody cosmic or whatever, maybe they're green, but these look really cool. They have it's really hard to tell on camera, but different flavors of the orange. Like, it is yellow and clear, but it does have a little bit of paint app on it that makes it look, or maybe it's in the formula where they said, let's mix a little orange in with the yellow. It just looks like actual fire. It looks really cool. So it looks like if you have a Human Torch, you can put that on Human Torch too. It's really cool as an effect, and it's not just, it wouldn't just be a cool effect for Fabian. It'd be a cool effect going forward to anybody who's a fire wielder. Again, probably Human Torch. But if your new Fantastic Four figures, coming soon I hear, don't have fire effects for Torch. You got fire effects from Fabian, and Fabian will probably not sell very well. He'll probably be, $10 around Christmas. So that was really mean, I think. If you're a big Fabian fan, sorry. That is Fabian Cortez. For Marrow, in addition to the hands that hold bone shards, she also has this sort of gesturing command hand and one fist, which are, I don't know if that's a bad choice or not. I don't have an opinion on what the hands should or shouldn't be. I think that's fine. But the bone that she's wielding are gummy. They're kind of real unsubstantial. And that's okay. It's a toy for 4 and up. So this shouldn't be super sharp. But I imagine someone on Etsy is either selling or getting ready to sell ones that are hardened and that'll survive well on a shelf. But until then, we have those. And the bone shards on the back, they don't come off, disappointingly. Actually, not disappointingly. I guess you wouldn't want these to come off. That would be a real pain to put on, and it would look real weird. It's kind of good that it's coming right out of her back. I'm not sure if the sculpt is from somebody else, but because of the bone under here, I tend to think, I don't know if that's sculpted on and then maybe glued on to an existing female torso. I'm just not sure. But it is really cool and really accurate. Marrow, I don't remember the hairstyle. I know Blink has long hair and she looks a little like Blink. I don't know if there's any relation. The paint is really nice. The bone is really cool. It is the Marrow that I remember. It's a very cool figure. So you should get her if you can. But that is Marrow. Gambit is pretty straightforward. In uniform and in the bow staff, he has one fist that's in. He has an extra fist here. He has a gesturing hand for probably throwing playing cards, but he didn't come with any. He also didn't come with any effects that sort of, show him utilizing his power at all, which is too bad. I don't know if in Age of Apocalypse, maybe he didn't have power or something, but really nice texture on the arms. And the bow staff is pretty much the bow staff we've gotten with all the Gambits. The likeness may be a little bit different, but it could be, because it's got the messier, it could be that they painted that blue instead of the purple, and that's it. The portrait's doesn't look like it's the new sort of portraits that they're doing. Is that fair? No, it doesn't look real remarkable, but the series wasn't real remarkable to me either. The cape, solid, just like Fabian's. You'd have to take the head off to get the cape off. But the costume is, as far as I can remember, is accurate. This thing slides around, so you want to make it kind of lock in. You can sort of let it float, and it sort of naturally settles on the thigh. But if you force it somewhere, it usually comes right out and goes down to his foot or goes up higher. So that is Gambit from Age of Apocalypse. No real complaints with it. It's got really cool features. I like the swashbuckling boots. It's very, very Gambit. And of course the bow staff, very classic Gambit. For Husk, I had a little bit of trouble with the kind of the skin tearaway. I know I probably did it wrong. I have this gesturing hand. I have this skin, which I couldn't figure out. Is it coming off this way? Is it coming off this way? I couldn't figure that out. There didn't seem to be any... On figures like this where they have a cool feature, I really wish that Marvel Legends would put in maybe something on the back that tells you how to interact with this piece or tell you kind of what to do with it. There's another gesturing hand here that could have been used to sort of maybe peel it off. I don't know. There's a hole here, which makes me think that's for a thumb. I don't know. I'm tearing it off, but even that looks unnatural. Looks a little weird. I like this head where it's half skin and half metal. That's very cool. She has a fist, and she has a fist on her. So 2 fists, 2 gesturing, clawing skin hands, and just one portrait of Paige Guthrie, which is really nice. Kind of looks like an Emma Frost head, but it could be just the hair is kind of messing with me. But the hair would be nice to throw on, back on Husk, or you could throw that on a G.I. Joe cover girl or a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent or something else. Extra portraits are neat. And that is Husk. For Nightcrawler, he comes with the cool sword, which the first one did back during was it the Wendigo wave or the Juggernaut wave? He came with 3 heads, I think, for that. And one of them, if I remember right, was this screaming head, but it was painted very dark, kind of goth, like he was in the shadow and he was screaming. I don't remember. It seemed like it could have been not, maybe. There was some portrait that was, I can't remember. I don't think this portrait was with the first one, but this one, there was definitely a screaming head on that one. But he had 3, and one of them was maybe a smiley, cocky face. Not sure. So on him right now, he's got a sword hand and sort of just a kind of a relaxed hand, I guess. I don't know what you would call that hand, because, Nightcrawler has weird hands, and I don't know what to call them. He also comes with 2 fists, and he comes with this other gesturing hand. So you could have a gesturing hand on either hand, and I'm guessing it's to get him into 3-point stances or 4-point stances, things like that. The tail is just like the I think the 97 and the one that was with the Juggernaut or the Wendigo wave was this kind of gummy material. It's not really wired, but it kind of does give you a little bit of movement because it's got kind of not a ball hinge, but you plug it in there, but it's not held on to anything. So it can kind of rotate around. And of course I had it in the neutral, this position. Of course, if you take some hot water and you mold it, you can kind of make it do whatever you want, but it's not going to stay where you put it without a little bit of work. For the tunic, you can see it's regular Nightcrawler with the tunic and everything, except that it's sculpted here on top where it would have been blue or black, and then you can see the kind of the shirt underneath. So it's reuse of Nightcrawler, and it's reuse of that 97 Nightcrawler. No pins or anything. I don't have any complaints with the repaint of it. This costume exists. This character exists in that costume, and the sword is a really nice touch, along with the extra portrait 3 hands. The one that originally came with him had the gold hilt, but it was just this. It was the swashbuckling sword. The 97 one didn't come with a sword, I don't think. If I remember right, it didn't come with. Maybe it came with extra hands and that was it. But I don't think it came with extra portraits or anything else. But if it didn't come with extra portraits, you might be able to swap original Nightcrawler's head onto the animated series version head. Maybe. I don't know. And that is Nightcrawler. As for Cyclops, no real upgrades here from the last one that I can see. Still got the butterflies, the ab crunch, everything sort of the same. He's got a nice heavy base with large feet. Very, very posable. I had fun. I had him face off against Nemesis because he could use the optic blast, and Nemesis could block with that big gun thing on his arm. Comes with 2 fists, which I put on him. He comes with sort of a gesturing hand, and he comes with the optic blast activating hand, the one he puts to his temple to kind of activate the optic blast. That was a complicated sentence for me. So he comes with this head, the screaming head, with sort of the hollow eye cavity, and he has this optic blast here, and it's not unlike the optic blasts in other waves or on other Cyclops figures. Of course, the smooth side is down because that's the side they imagine won't be photographed. It plugs right into the visor, and you can see that you can shoot it from any angle. That looks really cool. Then they have this sort of effect of it hitting something, and you can see on the end of it, it has this hole in it, and you can see here there's a little, I don't know if you can see that, a little bit of a tab that helps you line this up. Then you can plug this in to that little click, and then boom. Ow, I didn't click it in. There I go, I clicked it in. So that's what it looks like with the optic blast, or the effect attached, is it sort of comes outward, but it's like, pff, ow, pff, ow, stop shooting me, pff, ow. So it's just a really cool kind of extra effect. They didn't have to give it to us, but I'm super glad they gave it to us. That's really cool. And we got this one on top of it. So Cyclops has a ton of effects, a ton of cool stuff. Cyclops is very cool. If you don't have a Cyclops, this is as good a Cyclops to get as any. And also, I don't know if you can sort of stick the explosion piece onto the old piece. My feeling is you can, but it wouldn't stay very well. But you could still give it a try if you wanted to. Although I think this part for the X Factor Cyclops would still plug into the old Cyclops's visor, so you can upgrade this optic blast. If you can get two Cyclops, you can upgrade the optic blast to the last one. Now for the Build-A-Figure part, Nemesis. Nemesis was part of Age Apocalypse. I didn't interact with him there. I've interacted with him in the Exiles. I loved the Exiles. Them stationed at the, whatever that thing is with all the pink crystals and things. My Exiles were the ones that didn't have any choice over where they were dropped off. They just wore a talus, and the talus told them where to go and how to get there, and just teleported them away at random. That was mine. And there have been a couple characters that Marvel's released, like Morph and Blink, but we have yet to get characters like Nocturne or Mimic, though Nemesis would fit in well with that X-Files group, or X-Files, those Exiles group, because they had quite a few different Exiles. They had they had magic at one point. It's been a while. I can't really think of who else they've had. They had little Wolverine. They had little Wolverine on the team that had Valkyrie from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So little Wolverine we got in I think a Mojo set. I'm not absolutely sure. Now I'm just spinning. So the Nemesis was a lot of fun to put together. He has this tube, and I'm not absolutely sure. I'm gonna say what I said in the Husk part, which is I wish they had sort of instructions that better told you how to do this stuff. The one that they feature on the back doesn't really tell you how to put him together. It doesn't really tell you where the tube goes. And there isn't really... Oh, is it on his... Is the tube going into his chest? Did I just crack the code? Is that... Doesn't look like there's a place for it. Oh no, that's not a tube. That's just a little directional arrow telling you what character came with the thing. But yeah, there isn't anything that tells you sort of what everything is or what order to put things in or anything. I put the tube into his backpack. I'm not sure if that's absolutely where it goes or not, but I put it there. And there was another thing here, another port, and it would have been cool to have a little bit of guidance on what that was. There's also, it's really good sculpting, and I'm sure this is all brand new, but there are these 2 tabs. One right here, you can see here, and one right down here, right below it, right here. And I'm not sure what those tabs do. I'm not sure what they connect to. I wish I did. Also, according to the video game Marvel Strike Force, where he's known as Nemesis Enforcer, this is a flamethrower, and it would have been cool to have had an effect that went in there that plugged into that. And I'm wondering if maybe there's an existing effect, like maybe G.I. Joe Dreadnought Torch's effect, or soon to be Blowtorch. I think Blowtorch is out, or maybe No, Blowtorch is coming out. Okay, so there could be some pre-existing thing that you can plug in there and make that work, but for right now it's just blank. Also, the armor has a lot of divots and a lot of character, like it's been through hell. And it's really, really good sculpting, but it could use a little bit of dry brush on top to really bring out those blemishes in the armor. You can see them, they're all over in the light. You can see the dents. Even around the helmet, you can see the dents and sort of the creases and everything in the shoulder guard. You can see that. So it's everywhere, including the legs. You can see like a lot of character in the legs, but just a solid copper paint job. Like all of the dents didn't really do anything. And that's possible. It's possible that the character's just so tough that none of that stuff really did anything. I'm not absolutely sure, but it still would have been nice to have had just a little bit of detail in the crevices on that. Also, you can't tell by the helmet because it's tinted orange, but without the helmet there are flames surrounding the skull. So let's take that off and take a look. Getting this on is pretty easy. It kind of goes under here, and then there are these 2 little tabs that perfectly plug in. But you can see his skull is surrounded by fire, but that fire is impossible to see with the helmet on. So I don't know if he ever takes his helmet off. I kind of doubt it. Very, very movable, but feels very fragile. I'm not sure what's holding that head on, but you can have it look different directions. It's very, very cool. But instead of orange, maybe the skull should have been tinted orange, and maybe that should have been a clear visor so that you could see the inside, and maybe the back of the visor is painted orange already. So maybe that would have helped the effect, so that you could see the flames, you could see the skull in a sort of a lighter orange, so that it gives the whole thing a little more detail, and so that you can see the variation between the orange skull and the yellow flames with a completely clear visor. But that's tinting everything, and it makes the flames invisible. If I put this back on, and it's not clipped in, but you can see the flames just sort of disappear. You have to imagine that they're there. And if you are buying this fully completed from a seller or something, you might not know that it has flames around it until you take that helmet off. So that's it for Nemesis, aka Holocaust, which I completely understand why they renamed him. Just like you can't have Son of Satan on a package, you can't have Bloodstorm on a package, you also can't have Holocaust on a package. Like, I get that. That's a little bit, that's spongy, and I don't like it. But I'm guessing Marvel thought the same thing. They thought, "Oh, I'm not doing that, no way." So, Holocaust is Nemesis, and he's Nemesis Enforcer in, oh no, oh my gosh, he fell over, and like all the figures that were sitting around next to the figure just sort of sprung up. He moves a lot. He's heavy. He's probably 2 pounds. You could probably lift this guy like a weight, but don't. You're not going to get in any kind of shape. Lift real weights. I say, not having lifted any weights in a very, very long time, Anywho, that is Nemesis. That is the Build-A-Figure for this wave. And enjoy him. He's awesome. He's almost 9 feet tall. He's super posable. You could do a lot of stuff with him. He absolutely enhances the collection. And if you want to, you could take like a paint pen or something and maybe color in some of that damage so that it's a little more noticeable. Maybe like a silver Gundam pen or something that shows like there's chips taken out of the armor in those places. I don't know. It's up to you. Some of you guys have already done it. I just haven't looked, but I'm sure that some of you have already done it, and you're like, yeah, I'm all over it. I already did it. It's already done. So that is the X-Men Build-A-Figure wave with Nemesis. Is that the 4th time I've said that? I'm sorry. This outro is very long, so I'll cut out now. But until next time, enjoy your toys.